Put down all heavy objects, Habs fans. Antti Niemi will get the start in goal tonight.
I don't even know what button to push.
Oh, I know what button.
No, God!
Okay, yeah.
No, God, please, no!
Yep.
No!
Yep.
No! No!
It's going to be fine. Meantime, Shea Weber is also out again, dealing with a lower body injury. Victor Mete is out because he hasn't been very good. Of course, it's a reunion for PK Subban against the Habs. Earlier today, Subban was asked if playing in Montreal was more demanding, I would say it is, than playing in Nashville.
Maybe. I mean, it's a special market. I mean, there's no place like Montreal in the NHL. I had the opportunity to play there. I mean, Toronto similar, but it's different than Montreal. Playing in Bell Center and the fans, and it's a special group of fans, that's for sure.
It's going to be an interesting one tonight. There's a lot of crazy hockey storylines developing right now.
Yeah.
Elliotte Friedman of Hockey Night in Canada is joining us ahead of, again, a 15-game sked in the NHL. Hello, Friedge.
I just feel bad for your studio camera there, Sid.
Why is
It's
that?
being disinfected right now. Completely disinfected. We are down to 2 cameras.
I saw you make out with it, and even though it's not a human object, I felt bad for it.
My wife is a brave woman, Friedge.
I wasn't kidding. Megan has no
Brave
camera.
woman.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start, Friedge. I guess just because we've talked a lot of Oilers, just I want a general question in terms of Marc Bergevin and Peter Chiarelli. Things aren't going well. How difficult is it for GMs in that spot at this time of year when most other GMs just want to pick away at your carcass?
Well, I have a standard line, Sid, and that is that when you're drowning the other GMs, they're not going to throw you a life preserver, they're going to throw you an anvil. And those are the trades that you have to be most careful about, trading when you're in a real position of weakness. And you heard Marc Bergevin a couple of weeks ago when he said the solution has to come from in the room because there's nothing out there. And Peter Chiarelli has pretty much said the exact same thing. Now, he's made one small deal. He traded Jussi Jokinen to L.A. for Michael Camilleri, but that's not going to change the major point of where they're going. When you are losing and you are struggling, you have to be very careful you don't do something out of panic that's only going to make it worse. And I think those two general managers right now, Bergevin's one of the most active GMs in the league. Chiarelli's been trying to do something for quite a while. You know, if you want to make yourself worse, you can do it very easily.
I want to stay with Edmonton for a hot second because they were projected to win the West heading into the season. And even if it wasn't that, obviously no one expected this. So what, in your eyes, is the biggest reason for what they are doing right now?
Faizal, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, Alain Vigneault has a great line about coaching in this league. He says, if my goalie's better than your goalie, I win. If your goalie's better than my goalie, you win. And Cam Talbot, who had a phenomenal year last year, has simply not been himself. And, that goal last night, that one you're showing now, that was a total fluke. But, the second one, the one later, and here you go. I mean, you're sitting there and you're going, what's happening to us here? And I think Talbot last year, he carried them. He had a phenomenal season, and he's struggling. And I think that's been a major reason. He's not the only guy struggling, though. Oscar Klefbom, who had a big breakthrough year last year, he's struggling. And between that and the fact that, they're not the quickest team in a very fast league, I think all of that is really piling up on them.
Friedge, if you had the choice to have one of the two rosters right now for the next 5 years to work with, Oilers, Habs, which one is it?
It's not even a choice. You're taking the one with Connor McDavid.
Yep. That's the winner.
Not even a choice.
That's the winner. Friedge, let's kind of move on here a little bit. The one story that's out there that I wanted to get your take on, the IOC on December the 5th, they're going to make a decision on the Russian Federation.
Bless you about that.
Well, it's flu season. Things are going around. Friedge is playing hurt. Good on him, but a typical Warrior. December 5th, they're going to make a decision on the Russian Federation. They could ban the entire team from South Korea in the Olympics next February. KHL are threatening to then withhold their players that right now are eligible and are very important to federations considering the NHL is not going. What do we need to know about this story that maybe we don't know about, and how real is the threat from the KHL to withhold guys?
First of all, Sid, I could be wrong. I will believe that Russia will not be competing at the Olympics when it actually happens.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me that they're going to kick those guys out of the Olympics, that's, the Olympics are all about money, right? And the Olympics without Russia, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Now, if I'm proven wrong, look, here's the way it works. When I was working on the story earlier this year about the fact that the CHL teams were skittish about letting CHL players play for Canada at the Olympics, one of the things I was told is if the international teams come to the CHL clubs, because they have maybe a couple of their players, and say, look, we're Slovakia, you have a Slovakian player, we want that player for the Olympics, the CHL team has to give them up because the transfer agreement says if we let your player play in our country, you still have to let them go play at certain major international events, and the Olympics is one. So as far as I'm concerned, the Canadian players who play on KHL teams should be allowed to go even if Russia isn't there. Now, I recognize there's something behind the scenes. The Russians could say, okay, you can go, but don't come back. I mean, there's always that kind of threat that could be made. But Sid, the overall thing I think here is, I'll believe there's an Olympics without Russia when it actually happens.
Yeah, valid. I mean, I'm with you, although it's just the IOC is in a weird mood where a lot of public pressure, they seem to be bowing down to it, and they're way tougher on Russia than they used to be. But as a whole, Fried, you're bang on. I'll believe that one when I see it.
What matters more, Sid, public pressure or money?
Always ethics, Fried. Always ethics. We all know that. It's ethics driven. All right, let's. You know what? The Ottawa Senators, considering what's been going on with the Habs and the Oilers, and to a certain extent the Leafs, the Sens Fried are an interesting team to me, and they're in action tonight on Sportsnet as well. Their travel schedule has been nuts.
Yeah.
They go to Europe. They're in the middle of 10 of 11 on the road. Centennial game next month, which will be a blast, but that has its demands as well. And Duchene, no points in 5 games. What do we read into what goes on right now with the Senators, and throw in the new player in the mix in Duchene? How do you read what's going on with that team right now?
Well, I think they're really struggling. I saw the quotes from today from head coach Guy Boucher, and I don't disagree. One of the things I do try to count when I watch games now, and sometimes I have to go back and watch them a second time, is high danger chances. And in their last few games, aside from the third period against Arizona, they haven't had a ton. Excuse me. At least not at 5-on-5. And, I think that it's very hard to win in this league if you don't get good chances at 5-on-5. And the perfect example is the team that's, a few hours down the road from them in Toronto. The Maple Leafs get outshot quite a bit, but even when they get outshot, they still get their good chances. Ottawa isn't doing that right now. I would say this. I think Duchene, whenever a player comes and you don't get that point in your first game or two with a team, you can see the stress. I see it a little bit on Duchene. He wants to do well. He knows he forced his way there. Turris is off to a good start in Nashville. And I know he's squeezing the stick a ton. I think that's going to sort itself out. I think the other thing that really helps Ottawa guys is, in that division, there's Tampa, there's Toronto, and then there's a lot of uncertainty. Like Montreal, to me, has not given up their chance at making the playoffs, as rough as it's been for them. And that's because the third and the fourth place teams in that division don't scare you. Ottawa doesn't play, I shouldn't say I like the way they play. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I like the way they play in the sense that they have a system that they work with. And I do think they're going to be okay.
For anyone at home wondering why we love Fried, he's got a long night ahead of him. He's up at 6:30. He's sick. Still came on with us. Love you, Fried. Thanks, buddy.
Hey,
Go have some
Faizal,
wine.
I wanted to say, I watched You Gotta See It today. You should wear that red suit all the time. That is a phenomenal suit.
Thank you.
Every day.
Thanks for watching.
So you got to see the suit, is what you're saying. That's what you got to see.
That's right.
Thanks, Fried.
Take care, Sid.
See you, brother. Elliotte
Bye.
Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada.